Hello YouTuber, what is going on, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. In today's video, we're going to be transforming a Minecraft cave into a Minecraft modern house. So, you're going to want to find yourself a default Minecraft cave. Now, depending on how big you want your modern house is going to depend on how big your cave is. Now, you might have to adjust it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just deleting blocks. Getting the cave to the perfect size I want it before I start building my house. Now, just remember, this isn't a block by block tutorial. This is a video to give you inspiration on how to transform a Minecraft cave into a modern house. So you don't have to copy me. You can just kind of like go along and use this video for ideas for your own house and create something pretty awesome. So in this video, as you can see, I'm just deleting blocks, getting the cave really perfect, and I'm going to start building the house very soon. Now, what I need to keep in mind is how big do I want my house? How big am I going to, like, remember, you're in a cave, so you can like add additional rooms. You've pretty much got an entire underground world to build in if you wanted to go that far. So remember, you can add rooms whenever. You don't really need a certain room plan. So now that we've got our cave just the right size, this is the size I'm going to make my house in. You could have one smaller, you could have one bigger. We're going to grab ourselves some materials. Now, I'm going to use the basic modern house materials. I'm going to use some quartz. Pretty simple, some quartz stairs. I'm going to find a wood material, which I'm actually going to be using spruce wood. Then I'm going to go and grab some glass, of course, for the windows, some torches for light, and then I go in and grab another wooden material for the floor. So now we're going to start laying the foundation for our house. I'm going to grab the quartz block and I'm going to start to bring it back straight across the cave. Now, I take it back about 16 blocks myself, and that seems like a pretty good length. Honestly, 16 blocks is quite wide for a house. And I also bring it up 5 in height. For now, anyway, we do make it 6 in height at one point of the build. But that's absolutely fine. You know, you can add bits, you can deduct bits. That's the beauty of Minecraft. So as you can see, I'm making the frame of the modern house. Now, I work in cubes. That's just personally how I do it. But yeah, you guys can do it however you want it. Like I said, this is just a video for inspiration. Now, I grab the stairs and we're going to make kind of like a patio area, kind of like a walkway to get into the main house. So I add, 2 sets of stairs going up, and this is going to lead into our like doorway entrance to the house. Just to make it a little bit more grand, I didn't want to have it going like straight up because I wanted to add some different shapes, some diversity to the build. Hopefully you guys can understand that. Like I said, you don't actually have to have this. It's just, personal preference. So I'm just adding like a decking to it. This is going to be the floor material throughout the entire house, which is pretty sick. I chose oak because, it's a basic wooden material. You can't really go wrong. And here I'm just adding like supports under the house, just to kind of make it look a bit cooler, add some shapes and get rid of the kind of stone, because we don't really want to see that under the house. So we could have added like emerald supports or something, but I thought the stairs looked pretty cool. Kind of made it look a bit like futuristic and that. So now we're going to grab ourselves some spruce wood and we're just putting it behind here to kind of give the build a little bit of depth. And this is also where we're going to have our doorway entrance, and it's kind of going to like, this is kind of like the window level. I like to think of it as this is the kind of layer of the house where the windows are going to go in. So I'm adding 3 spruce blocks on one side, 2 on the other, and I'm just filling in underneath, and then I'm going to be adding the windows. Now, what you want to remember is you can use any kind of glass you want. So you could use black, grey, blue, yellow, purple if you're feeling really crazy, but I'm just going to use normal glass. I'm boring. I'm original, and we're just going to do it like this. So as you can see, I'm filling it in. The window, I'm pretty sure, was like 7 blocks wide. You could have like multiple windows. I just chose to have a big kind of, I guess, main window for the house, just letting a lot of light in where I could. And now I'm just kind of cornering off at the top. And deleting some of the cave. So remember, you are going to want to delete some of the cave as you go. You're not going to have the perfect cave that's going to fit your house unless you're building the house to fit the cave, and you're just going to be very cramped. So you're going to want to just constantly like start deleting stuff here and there, just to kind of create shapes and create enough space for you to build the rest of your modern house. So after I finish placing these wood blocks down, I start to think to myself, how big do I want the main room of my house? Now, I start looking at the cave, and this is where I need to start deleting blocks to make my space. Now, I actually dig back about 6 blocks, I'm pretty sure here, and that's how big the main room, kitchen, living area will end up being, is about 6 to 15 blocks. Which is pretty cool. So, add torches down. You don't want mob spawning, of course, and you're just going to delete away until you have the perfect space for you. Now, if you're going to have multiple rooms, I would recommend maybe having one big room and then kind of having corridors off to the end. And as you can see here, I'm just placing the flooring down and making a start to the house. I'm still deleting blocks as I'm going. As you can see, it's not perfect yet, and yours won't be either. You're going to have to, be patient. and kind of delete blocks. If you have World Edit, of course, it's going to be much easier. Now, I actually make this, I think it's about 15 wide, guys. So if you want to copy my measurements, 6 back, 15 wide, that is how I make it. So I'm just placing the oak floor in now. You could actually have a basement to this house. Unfortunately, I didn't really think of it at the time, so I didn't actually put one in. So I finished placing, 15 by 6 oak wood plank blocks, and now I start to carve out the ceiling and the walls. I use quartz for my walls because that's personally what I prefer and do for most of my modern houses. But remember, you can put, as much color and as much kind of your own splash onto this build, which is probably going to make it more personal and even better for you. So as you can see here, I've started putting the walls in. As you can see, they're 6 wide. I'm going to keep mentioning that just so if you do want my measurements, you can just copy them. If you're not feeling too original, a bit uninspired today, it's fine. So placing it and completing the frame around the top of the house, that is probably what you're going to want to do, is work in frames or boxes. That's personally how I do my modern houses, and they always turn out pretty solid. So filling in the walls, of course we're going to add corridors and stuff, and expand the house later, but we're just working on the main room, which is going to contain the living room and the kitchen. So bringing this all the way along, make sure you fill in all the gaps. You don't want any gaps left in your build. It's just going to cause more work, I guess, in the future of the build. So pretty much I finished this off, and then I start to add the ceiling in. I would use snow. Looking back on it, I should have used snow, but I actually just filled the main room in with quartz, and I would have probably made a 4-block ceiling, if I'd have done it again, which, is always good. Constructive criticism on myself, positive feedback. I'd have made the ceilings 4 in height. I say that you should probably do that, and I'd have also made it snow. The ceiling I'm talking about, not the walls. I mean, you could use snow for the walls, but it's probably not gonna look too good. So, as you can see, the room is completely finished, and it is a measurement of 15 long and 6 in width. Now I kind of start marking out where I want different rooms to go, and I add this wall divider in where I think it's going to separate the living room to maybe kind of like a little, I guess, gallery or little entrance to the house where people can maybe put their shoes, their coats, and all of that good stuff. I add a little entrance kind of into the main area here. It just kind of separates it, I guess, kind of adds another feature to the house. And now I start to add a little bathroom. Now this bathroom actually ends up 3 by 3. So, 6 blocks in total. Actually, no, 9 blocks in total. Sorry, I'm not very good at maths, mental maths anyway. But yeah, it actually ends up 9 blocks, I guess, all around. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually make it the same height as the actual build itself. And as you can see, I go in, I find a different material for the floor. Of course, you're not really going to want wood in a bathroom. That's not really going to make sense. So I kind of just put chiseled quartz down. It kind of gives it that tiley effect, I guess. You guys can use whatever you want, but chiseled quartz worked for me, and that is what I do. So filling in the walls now is what I'm doing. And I then add snow on the ceiling and a sea lantern in the center. As you can see, here I go. It's pretty good having an even kind of block in the middle where you can place a light, especially for bathrooms. It just looks so good. So the sea lantern works perfectly. You could use glowstone. You could even make like a different light design if you have one of those. Placing a birch door down, the birch looks pretty sweet. Kind of a modern door, actually. Probably one of the best doors in default, in my opinion. That's just my personal preference. But now I start to look at where the corridor is going to go leading to the bedrooms. Of course, we're not going to have 2 rooms or 3 rooms in the house. We're going to have quite a lot more than that, especially as we're underground. We have a, unlimited supply of, like, I guess, space. Here I'm just adding kind of a cutout where we're going to have like a little kitchen area. I'm probably going to put the oven and stuff in here, so that's, what I'm doing. And now I turn, pretty much look at this wall and decide where I'm going to place my corridor. So I actually place it around 3 blocks in, and I make it 2 wide. 2 is pretty good for a corridor. You could use, I guess, 3. I guess 3 is a pretty good, 3 or 2 is a good corridor space. So as you can see, I'm just deleting, of course, even more of the cave, because that is what you've got to do. Constantly delete to make more space for your house. It doesn't come, if you have World Edit, actually, it's probably very easy to just get a brush tool and just delete a load of space and then build into it. That's probably what I would recommend if you have World Edit. If not, like me in this video, you're stuck doing it all by hand, and, you're a warrior. You're an absolute soldier if you keep, going with it. Anyway, we're taking this corridor back 10 blocks. I think I take it back 8 blocks, just like the rest of the house. And I fill the walls with quartz. I make a 1 block doorway 2 blocks in, and another one 2 blocks in from the other end. And these are for the master bedroom and the guest or children's bedroom. Now, one of the bedrooms is going to have an ensuite bathroom, and one of them isn't. So they're going to have to use, I guess, the one in the bedroom or the toilet in the beginning of the house that we made earlier. Now I'm just filling in the end here. You could actually have a corridor that goes on forever and ever and ever. Remember, we're underground here, people. possibilities are endless. But, you know, just for the sake of this tutorial not being 50 freaking years long, we're not going to have an endless corridor, okay? This isn't Alice in Wonderland. We're just going to have it 10 blocks. Okay, so filling in the ceiling with snow, and as you can see here, I've actually raised the height by 4 blocks. So now we've got a load more space to work with, and it doesn't look as cramped. I realized my mistake in the first part of the video, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to make these ceilings 4 in height, because that is going to look much better. Now, these little doorway entrances are cool. It's just a stair 2 blocks above with a glass on top, and now I'm adding the doors, and I'm going to start to delete some blocks to make space for the bedrooms. So this is actually bedroom 1, or the guest or child's bedroom, depending on where you want to look at it, who you have staying in the house. If you're going to roleplay it, I tend to roleplay a lot just, you know, so I kind of get an idea of what I'm doing with the house. Anyway, I'm just building up the walls, and actually this bedroom, I'm pretty sure, becomes like 8 by 5 in width. Anyway, so this little section here is actually going to be like a little wardrobe. In my mind, I'm just going to like mark it out in the wall, and that's pretty much where I want to have like a clothes rack or a wardrobe or something to kind of hold something, maybe a desk area or something like that. Just digging out the floor, I'm actually going to use oak in here. You could use a different material like a darker wood in each of your bedrooms, or a carpet, you know, I guess wool or something like that. But I'm just going to place wood, keep it flowing through the entire house. You know, modern houses usually have the same materials around the house, if you've noticed that. Traditional houses, you know, vary in material, but modern houses usually use the same kind of color palettes around it of like the house. So we're going to go with that. Now I'm just adding snow in the ceiling like I did in the bathroom. And actually, as you can tell, 4 block ceilings makes the room look so much bigger, makes it look like there's so much more space, and it really, really does work. So I would advise in the main room, if you can, if you haven't already done 3, make the ceiling 4 in height. So as you can see, just finishing that off, and I'm going to add some lighting now with the sea lanterns. Now this room is actually you know, pretty even in the ceiling, so that means I can add an even lighting design, making the house OCD friendly, because I have OCD, and if things aren't even, it kills me inside. So I've just added a 2 block gap in between each of the lights, meaning there's 2 lights in the room, and we're now going to start on the master bedroom. Now I actually make this a lot bigger. I'm pretty sure I make it 8 by 8 blocks, which actually gives me enough space to put a huge master bed in there when it comes to interior, and it just works out pretty great. So as you can see, I'm just deleting blocks until I feel like there's enough space, adding the walls around, and creating the perfect bedroom for me. Now, you guys can do whatever you feel like. You could make this bedroom huge. You could even add like a swimming pool in this freaking house. You know, we're underground, like I said, and I'm going to keep saying it because you can add so many things to this house. It is ridiculous. So, as you can tell, I'm pretty much finished with this. You know, I'm just adding in the floor now, and it's going to be all good. Like I said, you can add different floor materials and stuff like that, depending on what you like. Now, in this master bedroom, we're also going to add a bathroom, and I start to do that in a second. Deleting all these blocks and placing in a ceiling now, and then I add, I think it's a 2x2 light design, because this room has got a much bigger ceiling, so I find the center blocks and place a 4 block light. As you can see, just working on the little like bathroom, I guess, on the side of the house. I'm going to make it 9 blocks again. I actually do expand this bathroom when I show the house at the end in the interior, because then I felt like, damn, we need a shower in here, and this bathroom just isn't going to be big enough. So for now, I make it 9 blocks, 3 by 3 and 4 in height. But I do come back to it later and change the design. So the house is actually finished now and ready to be furnished. Just a few more things to add on the outside before the final tour. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of space for us to play with on the inside, so the interior is going to look pretty sweet. But before we do that, I'm going to head outside and finish a few little chores on the outside of the house just before we do the interior. Now, as you can see here, I'm adding a front door. We forgot to do that. I do actually settle for the spruce wood door. I do test the dark oak. It does look pretty shitty in my opinion, so I use the one that matches with the wood on the outside of the spruce one. It looks a little bit castle-like, but it will do. I then add a safety barrier with white glass panes around there, and then I also double up the ceiling, or I guess the roof of the house, by 1, just, you know, to kind of hide that gap. And it makes the house look a lot better. Now, I also go to the side of the house on the left and add a water feature. Now, this doesn't have to be added. It just kind of adds to the aesthetics of the build and makes it look a lot, I guess, better, cuter, whatever, you know, you want to call it. But as you can see, just a little waterfall going down 1 block in width, and it just kind of adds to this little pond that I kind of made in about 2 seconds with my hand. I think I do make it a little bit bigger, but it's absolutely fine. Now, as you can see, I've added 2 little trees next to the house just to kind of make it look a little bit better. Put one right next to the front door, and I also add one in the corner of this room to kind of just finish it off. So now that the house is complete, I'm going to show you some interior that I've done to the place. Now, bearing in mind that you guys can do your own interior, I'm just here to kind of give you some ideas, some inspiration to how your house may want to look. So we've got this kind of little area in here. I've got a little kind of clothes rack, or kind of for your coats and stuff as you enter the house. Also some little hooks you could use for the same purpose as that. In here we've got the bathroom all furnished and looking nice with the sea lantern in the roof. We got a little paint in here, a little sink area, and of course the toilet where you kind of want to do your poos and stuff. In here we've got the living room. So you got this huge couch design. If you're wondering how these pillows kind of sit in there, they're black banners, and you kind of place the block over the top and it gives you this effect. We've got some diorite just to kind of mix up the textures on the floor, kind of make it not look as kind of bland and boring. We've got the little TV station here with some speakers made out of end rods and of course some wither skull heads. Over here we've got the breakfast bar or dining table kind of area. Sit, eat your food, look out into your cave, I don't really know. Here I've actually made like a sunroof kind of thing. So basically what this does is actually allows natural light to get into the house, and of course it comes like completely to the surface. And this is a 4x4 kind of a quartz gap, and then it leads down into a 2x2 tunnel which goes all the way down, and then one block above the actual kind of quartz there's some glass, just so like things can't fall on it. If you're in survival, you don't really want a creeper dropping into your house and going kaboom. Dear, that would kind of be pretty sad. We've also got the kitchen area, some end rods to admit some light, and we've got some furnaces. There's no sign there because you can't put the trapdoor and the sign there, just how Minecraft physics work. Kind of sucks. Down we've got this corridor, and I just put some shelving units at the end. To this side we have the first bedroom, the single bedroom, where you could either have some kids or some guests sleep, I guess. We've got this kind of like wardrobe area, kind of like in the like foyer of the house, but in the bedroom. Little desk area, writing area, laptop area, whatever you want to call it. And of course the free kind of in width bed, which kind of sits here perfectly. Now we're going on into the master bedroom, which looks pretty cool. Now I've put a kind of like a black backdrop feature wall behind, just to kind of splash some kind of modern color into the room. It looks pretty sick. Of course we've got a little wardrobe area. It's not very detailed. I didn't really want to splash anything on it, kind of just keep it minimalistic. We've got a little TV kind of station here, and then of course a computer desk with a laptop on top, and a little kind of office chair going on. And then in here I kind of upgraded the bathroom, kind of made it maybe twice, 3 times as big. Put a huge 3x3 shower in here, which looks absolutely awesome. Little toilet area dug into the wall, and of course the sink also. But that's about it. There's no actual kind of size difference in the house apart from this bathroom here. So as you can see, I'm just going to pause it for a little bit, and you guys will be able to count the blocks and use that in your house if you'd like the same as me. If you want something different, then it's absolutely fine. You know, nothing to worry about. But that is the interior for this little house. So guys, that is it for transforming a Minecraft cave into a Minecraft modern house. Hopefully you guys have got some inspiration from this. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a big thumbs up. It motivates me to make more content just like this. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much. Stay creative, and I'll see you in my next Minecraft video. Bye guys.